So you might have wondered why I call myself the Psy Lord. Quite easy. I'm the psychic version of Donald Trump. I know for all you Democrats, that'll bring great joy to your heart. Man with his immense power, who's the psychic version of Donald Trump. Oh my goodness, we better contact CNN. Oh, this can't happen. We'll have to get the Democrats under Biden to mandate this is illegal. But nevertheless, Donald Trump is a property developer. The white man in America was a property developer. Oh, Red Indian land. Prime real estate. Same with the British in Australia. Oh, Australia, prime real estate. And indigenous slave labour. Abos. We don't even have to bring them over here. So as you can see, embedded within humans is the mission statement to colonize and enslave the indigenous population. There we are. Viet Duck Slurpee. Specially made. Could have a Viet Duck Slurpee. Now, this means that there is real estate for the first explorers with the power to conquer it. So you might go to sea space, which was occupied prior to my entry. But whoever controlled sea space, Freemasons, Enochian angels, Illuminati, were like the American Indians or the Aborigines. They got slaughtered by modern technology. Going further downwards into the underworld, the realm of the dead, the Archons who were in control of that weren't powerful enough to stop me taking it over. Moving onwards to hell space. Lucifer, who rules hell space, didn't even bother fighting me, just gave me the keys to the kingdom. In return, I got his damned Katy Perry, in whose fetus I could trap Baphomet that had been using Bloom as the avatar. If you wish to look into the story, we've got loads of videos on that. Loads with me and Celestial Paladin, aka Gridkeeper, aka Duncan Davis. Viet Duck Slurpee. Then we go into real number space. But the real number space of Universe B. What? There's a real number space in Universe B? Yeah. With the Malkuthian tunnel of Set being that within the Kabbalistic system? Yeah. Shit. I'm deaf, dumb and blind, and you're explaining to deaf, dumb and blind people what people with sight, hearing and voices perceive. Yeah. And thanks to the quantum wave function being collapsed by an observer who's not deaf, dumb and blind, we get whole new realities. Oh. Similarly, we can go around again. Universe B's sea space, the underworld of Universe B, hell space of Universe B, because of spinor theory, the spinor nature of reality. Now, this means that this real estate can be taken over and you can build stuff there. Why would you want to build stuff in these realms? Well, it gives you supernormal potentials and gives you the potential to extend your lifespan to levels which are quasi godlike, the small g. Now to start, what's available? Let's start with the Forsaken. The 13 Forsaken. We've got, these are the 13 channelers, people who could use the Force, who gave themselves over to the Great Dark Lord in Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time books, which are very good, even though he stole my original concepts and ideas. That's by the by. The books are very good. We've got Ishmael, known beyond any doubt to be the most powerful of the Forsaken, bought by the Great Wildebeest. Ravine was one of the only 3 known individuals to be within the ++1 tier. That means mega powerful. Demon Dread, ++2. Masana once stated at one point that had Lewis Theron never existed, Demon Dread would have been the most acclaimed Aes Sedai of the Age of Legends. Aes Sedai are the channelers. He can give his tendency to overestimate himself, his strategic planning abilities and combat skills, which are known to have been extraordinary. So, Demon Dread, booked till September, so if St. Nicholas doesn't come up with the money, swish swish motherfucker. Samael, known to be strong in the one power, but ill else. Ravine believes Samael could overpower Lanfear if necessary. That's the most powerful of the female ones, which is Angelic Annie. Why? She's my PA, so keep the PA happy. Paid for it. Agenor, ++2. Despite Agenor's considerable strength and one power, he appears to have been somewhat subservient to Demon Dread, and flat out admitted on one occasion to being terrified of Ishmael. Why are we going through this? Well, the 13 Forsaken, Ishmael being taken, and Magic Mike decided to be Asmodean. Lanfear, Angelic Annie, all the rest are still open. Now, why would you purchase one of the Forsaken services? Well, the Forsaken are given not only power in the dark chaos force and the ability to use it, but are immortal. And the souls of Robert Jordan, his family, publishing house, everyone who's bought the books, Amazon, Bezos, Morton Jankler, Brandon Sanderson, all of them have agreed in the contract to suffer eternally to supply this power. Now, this would all be just bullshit, crap, except yours truly has discovered the total reality equations. Think of Robert Jordan's stuff simply being a mechanism to power the total reality equations, which is very simple to a mathematician, but to a non-mathematician would prove a bit tricky. So we don't need to invent new maths apart from hyperinfinity, which I've invented to add to the road to reality, book stuff. But once you understand that magic can be boiled down to a few equations, with the complexity in the maths of the road to reality, all of which are just little subtexts of the main equations, rather like electromagnetism can be boiled down to a few equations. Then it makes things very, very easy. Now the 13, why have there 13 of them? 13? Seventh term. But for the hyperinfiniteless, the ones who've lost their hyperinfinity, their will, their ability to collapse the quantum wave function, it's the 8th term. So, the Forsaken do shed loads of nasty shit from this observational viewpoint. But in the world of the hyperinfiniteless, that's your world, that's the world of Zion, they control the 8th term. The 8 can be taken away from 89 to make good stuff for them in the hyperinfinite worlds, which lacks hyperinfinity. As Colin Bloy did for the British by destroying the Unions and destroying the Soviet Union. Manifesting good stuff for themselves, or dump back here to take away from the 233 to make 169. So from the viewpoint of the Forsaken, they can unleash hell on earth upon the hyperinfiniteless, and they can't do a thing about it. So they can bring good stuff into the real world where the hyperinfiniteless live. They can, from high above, unleash hell upon the world. And they live in a 7th state, evil state, which they can abrogate with the 8, so it doesn't affect them. Holy shit. There's a whole technology for this. Yeah, it's the technology of observation, which collapses the quantum wave function. Hence with this, if you get souls to power it, you can do anything. Luciferic technology. So, in the Robert Jordan books, the Forsaken lived in the Maw. Pardon me. In hell space, minus I space. So, the 13 Forsaken have their apartments in the Maw. They read the Robert Jordan books to see what it looked like. A big hole into hell. And they had their own luxury accommodations there. Plus their own buildings in the real number space world, which, since it's a book, is sea space. So, Sidled, they exist for the Forsaken, built by the Robert Jordanites with their Robert Jordanites Eternal Tommy. Next we got, of course, the Ring Wraiths from the Lord of the Rings. 9 of them. The Nazgul. Witch Kings. I, of course, have got the Witch King of Angamar's ring. That's this one, which is on the 7th finger. But there were 9 Ring Wraiths. Oh, 9. 34. Linking up with your magic circle. And 21 down here. So all of our magic circles controlled by Ring Wraiths. And remember the 8 in the hyperinfinite is 21. So you can, yet again, control the 8 to bring goodness into the world if you want, or make sure there's no goodness for the hyper-infinitless. My naggle woman to do this, of course, is Taylor Swift. Whether she likes it or not, she's my bitch. I don't honestly care. If she marries Alwyn, she becomes totally hyper-infinitless and simply my tool to be used. So, marry Alwyn, bitch. And here, of course, you use the 8 to switch on, switch off evil for the hyper-infinite carriers. Now, in the Lord of the Rings book, they have a citadel for the Nazgul, really built which is in the Lord of the Rings film. They climb up, get to it through the spider. So that citadel is there for the 9 rulers of the ring. The Ringwraith ring, which of course controls the underworld, the -1. And in the -1 realm, you have your own apartments in the castle of the Ringwraiths, all built by Tolkien and the Lord of the Rings observers. As Sauron had Barad-dûr at the north, at the west, you got the Ringwraiths, citadel, fortress, built for you in the underworld, the world of the dead. Because remember, the Ringwraiths were the walking dead down the south. And there we go, with your crystals. Pardon me. In this mode, you go into a different dimension, see? Collapse you from the multiverse, manifest you in another dimension. You can manifest in the different realms with a different real estate built by yours truly. So down the south, in the realm of the underworld, -1 on your Argand diagram, the technology used at Arlington Obelisk, with all the war dead, Brighton, war dead monuments, loads of them, constantly used by the Illuminati, all taken over, because they're the Aborigines, the indigenous population, wiped out by yours truly. You can simply wake up in your rooms in the citadel, if you're one of the Ringwraiths. Some of them have been sold already, but there's a few left. St. Nicholas got one, Celestial Paladin, and Angelic Annie, and Magic Mike. One more, I think, was sold. Maybe 2 more, so there aren't many left. But the important thing about being one of the Nazgul is that when you broadcast, goodness, I space, goodness, the citadel automatically transfers it into good stuff for you, complex money, energy. And when you broadcast bad stuff, your victims, of which the great old beast has many, it produces greater evil in the world. So, Serena Rothschild broadcast it into your Nazgul citadel, as the Witch King Vangamar means the more deaths and destruction for the Rothschilds and their empire. Broadcast good stuff. All the goodness I'm doing in the world for people to achieve the source. Broadcast from the citadel of the ring race into the underworld. Produces in complex number space, complex money energy, and my ability then to eye to the eye to produce in reality whatever I wish. So as one can see, rather than being in these buildings or citadels or fortresses, doing something that is in your imagination, no, it's high magic. Next, of course, we come to my Dark Tower. Remember, if you looked at the magic videos, when you go to Universe B, there's a Dark Tower you see as you step through the death portal, which Stephen King has written a whole series of books on. Gunslinger, where the Dark Tower is used to keep back demonic entities from the multiverse. How does it do this? The Dark Tower has a battery of psychic warfare, assault, cannons that blast away the demonic entities so they can't occupy sea space. Because if you occupy sea space, you can eye to the eye it, to then control the real world. So he who controls sea space controls the real world, because you can't manifest anything you want in the real world without controlling sea space. He who controls hell space can delete anything they want from real number space. Gives you absolute control of reality, as the Americans, with their $50 billion worth of drone satellites to kill any enemy of Zion around the planet, have found out. They've been beaming like mad things, having spotters. Oh, there he is, listening to phones, cameras. Yeah, there's Tim Rifat. Well, beam him to death. And what's happened? America's devastated with the election of Biden. End of America as we know it. Becoming Chad America, Chadwald. Now, the Forsaken have their realm and their buildings. The Nazgul do. As you can see, controlling real number space means you can live forever, because you can simply manifest yourself and edit from hell space disease, aging. But similarly, the underworld, the realm of the dead, can manifest sea space or hell space, which then controls real number space. That's why the Illuminati are into murdering hundreds of millions of people with world wars, having their cemeteries and obelisks. The obelisks are using this technology. It's only that the Overton window masses who can't be outside the box because, oh, conspiracy theory, nutter, demented, are constrained in their worldview, which means they can't collapse the quantum wave function, except in the Overton window, allowable discourse. Next we come to super soldiers. Super soldiers. They're the channelers, the ones who can channel from the Robert Jordan books. In the Robert Jordan books, there's a building for the women, the Aes Sedai Tower on their island in the middle of a river. The idea is stolen from my first book by Robert Jordan and Morton Janklow in his publishing house. And the males, you got the Dark Tower. These exist, of course, in sea space and allow you then to use eye to the eye. Similarly, the Omega Hell complex, where I have all of my victims, is in hell space, minus eye space, which allows me to delete from the real number world to produce a new normal where America, Britain, NATO never conquer the world and in fact get swamped, inundated by their migrants, and Black Lives Matter and the Democrats government led by the Vice President after Biden's aneurysms to collapse America to produce a nice multipolar world. Goody goody. So the super soldiers have their own buildings for males and females, built by the souls and observation of the damned, the Robert Jordanites. Similarly, the ability to wake up in these buildings is given by the Art of Dreaming by Castaneda, where the tenant, this 10,000-year-old shaman, showed how you can wake up in alternative realities. You simply fall asleep in a certain position, wake up in it again, and then fall asleep in that same position again twice. Difficult, except you've got crystals. Remember, in their change dimensionality mode, you can simply close your eyes, visualize yourself in your building, wake up, close your eyes, visualize yourself in your building again. Next, for the normal people who don't have the super soldier or the ring wraith ring or one of the Forsaken, you've got the Sublime Good building, which I talked about with Celestial Paladin and Angelic Annie, which is vital for your health. You wake up inside that building, you do what the shamans of old used stalking for. First of all, use it to get rid of self-importance. Secondly, use it to move out of the world. What's moving out of the world? Moving out of the world is that your real number space being, plus your soul, your energy body, is not manifested down the vertical. It's manifested from sea space and hell space, which means that it is mutable, controllable by you, and you then get superhuman powers. So if you move your observation to the Sublime Good building, and every person who's a customer gets an apartment in the Sublime Good building, you can then wake up having moved out of the world, being manifest from sea space, edited from hell space by my endless number of enemies, which means that you can change the rules of your real number space manifestation. And as we've explained, that allows you to live easily for hundreds of years. Eradicate disease and be able to de-age, all of which have to be something that's important, considering that there are three major junctures in your life. 35, when you go from being young and suddenly your cellular mechanisms switch to making you middle-aged. 60, when your cellular mechanisms switch from being middle-aged to old. And 84, when they switch to you're fucking dead. Old, dead, demented, blah, blah, like a Biden. When you go into Biden mode. So, being able to manifest yourself from the sublime good building is a prerequisite for anyone who wants to live hundreds of years, to be healthy, and who wants to be able to grow younger within the constraints of the physics and the energy available. So even if you can extend your lifespan to 300-400 years and look middle-aged for most of that, that's going to be something that will make the discoverer of that technology a trillionaire, not a billionaire. That's why David Sinclair is madly into the biological means of doing that. But of course he's come up against, there's information that gets the OCK genes to bring the cells back to their young state. But where does that information reside? And does that information run out? So if we give the treatment, after a few treatments, will the information run out and it won't work again? So as you can see, biologists like David Sinclair at Harvard University are starting to abut onto the realm of sublime good science. A template of you and your cells in a youthful state, which allows you to rejuvenate. And if so, can we keep that template pristine and sublime for any number of iterations to keep ourselves going for hundreds of years, or in the case of the Forsaken or the Nazguls, immortal in the case of the Forsaken, able to reboot their physical bodies ad infinitum, or in the case of the Nazgul, like the Tenant, able to live in the underworld and pop back into the real world as supernatural spirits and beings for as long as they wish, to be immortal as supernatural beings, or to be immortal as supernatural human beings. So as you can see, rather than the Psi Lord being someone who just gave himself a name, no, Psi, the realm of Psi, all of these different realms, the science underlining it, and specific territory, buildings and real estate which are needed for you to be able to accomplish this. Why? Freemasonry, buildings have magic powers, we've explained. Why not build Freemasonry not in the real world, but in the realms of C-space, H-space, underworld, universe B? Last of all, we come to the Adamic worlds behind the Tree of Death in universe B, the realm of the Adamic Queens. Limited services for only a few people. There are 9 Adamic kings and queens allowed by the Kabbalistic tree, with death maybe 10 for the Great Lord Beast. The top one, of course, yours truly. And they have their own building territory in the Adamic realms, ruled by Amalek, yours truly, the Great Lord, the Great Dark Lord. So as one can see, there's a whole new geography of Psi, controlled by the Psi Lord, giving you the potential to control the real world, control souls, torture souls forever, make anything you want manifest, and keep yourself young and healthy, potentially forever. Enjoy. Nice intro, wasn't it? With a Viet Duck slushy.